What's up, everybody? It's your boy Nate from Black Mixture. Today we are making web apps with Lovable.dev. We're testing out the top 3 AI models to see which is the best in terms of quality, speed, and control. We'll be testing out Google's Gemini, OpenAI's GPT, and Anthropic's Claude, all of which are available to use right here in Lovable.dev. Now, if this is your first time hearing about Loveable, it's essentially an AI platform that allows you to generate entire web apps all without being a coding expert at all. The way it works is you simply type in a prompt and the AI handles all of the hard work of writing the code, installing the dependencies, and building that final application. The way that this test is going to work is that we will have 3 challenges that will increase in difficulty, and the winner of each round gets 1 point. So I'm super excited. I know you are too. All right, let's go. So starting with the first test, we're making a simple pizza calculator app. Now, have you ever tried to order a pizza before and got bogged down with all the details of whether or not a $5.99 medium-sized pizza is a better deal than an $8.99 large pizza? Well, that's where this app comes in. This is a great first challenge because what we're really testing here is how well the AI models understand math, logic, and are able to handle user inputs. For this test, the prompt that we're using is extremely detailed, leaving less room for creativity, and we're focusing more on one key question, which is, can these AI models handle complex instructions on the first try? So here I'm just pasting in the same exact prompt, and then I'm able to select which AI model, and then all we have to do is hit send, and instantly you can see it working, which is super cool. If you wanted to actually see all the code being written, we can click right here and all the different files and lines of code instantly show up, and we're getting to see this being generated in real time. So let's go ahead and take a look at the results. For this first round, the results across the board were pretty solid. All 3 AIs were able to create a fully functioning web app that did the math correctly. But the prompt wasn't just about the math, it was also about the user experience and the design. And Google's app looked the most polished and was the most visually appealing. OpenAI's was a close second, but just some of the formatting looked a little bit off. It just wasn't as clean. While Anthropic's looked the most basic, and honestly, I think it definitely ranked below the other 2s when it came to this prompt. For its superior attention to detail and user design, Google's AI takes the first round and earns itself a well-deserved point. For round 2, we wanted to make this a bit harder, so we asked each AI to create a full 2D space shooter called Vector Asteroids, and this time we left the prompt a little bit more vague compared to the first round. That way we could really see how these AIs creatively interpret instructions. And this round, we're really looking for how well they're able to handle complex game logic, physics, and creatively make something that's actually enjoyable to play. Whereas each AI in the first round were able to create everything from first shot, in the second round, the results were staggering. So here, Google's AI knocked it out of the park. It worked flawlessly on the first try, handling the design, animations, and controls beautifully. It even added its own creative touches, like a super cool screen shake effect whenever the user actually gets hit and loses a life. It was actually so good that we even used our extra prompts to add power-ups, which Google's AI handled perfectly. This was a genuinely fun game. Now, Anthropic's game technically worked, but the user experience was poor again. The player's ship ended up being frustratingly small, and when we prompted it for creating power-ups like we did with Google's AI, technically worked, but the design of the power-ups were nothing more than just these colored kind of mini asteroid-looking shapes, whereas Google's one ended up creating a colored shape with a nice icon in the center. And then there was OpenAI's GPT, which actually kind of failed on this. The game was completely unusable. Keyboard inputs didn't even register. Even more annoying, they added in these on-screen buttons, which when clicking did absolutely nothing. So even after trying to give it 2 additional prompts to go ahead and fix itself and make the user inputs work and the game playable, it remained broken and unplayable. So there's really no contest here. Because Google and Anthropic were able to actually create a game that actually worked, we're going to be assigning both a point for this round. So now onto the final round. This is where things really heat up, and we wanted to push these AIs to their absolute limits. So we decided to try to have them create an interactive 3D physics sandbox game, which required integrating two advanced libraries, 3.js and Canon ES. The task was apparently too complex because on the first try, each of these AIs ended up failing, but that's actually where Lovable.dev's platform really shines, because even though they failed to build, there's actually this really cool button called Try to Fix, which does exactly that. It tries to fix the issues. For more complex issues though, we realized that the chat feature is even better at solving issues because it allows it to think step by step and come up with an actual plan. And then once you review that plan, you can just click a button to implement it, which I thought was super handy and ended up working more times than just the Try to Fix button. So after a few rounds of this, OpenAI's sandbox was the first one to end up working, and it ended up having the most robust set of features, including gravity presets, color controls, and even environmental lighting. Now, Anthropic's version also ended up working, and I thought this one was a little bit more fun to play because the click and drag functionality actually allowed a user to throw the objects with their mouse cursor. This one just felt the best to play with. Google's version on this one ended up being the clear loser because it took the most tries out of all the other AIs to get working. While it was functional, it lacked a lot of the features that Anthropic's and OpenAI's version was able to create. So for this final round, it's a bit of a tie because OpenAI's wins on features, but Anthropic's ended up winning on its feel for its standout interaction. So here they'll split the win, earning each of them a point. But aside from just paying attention to these scores, because at the end of the day, it's almost like comparing apples to oranges, these AIs really have different techniques that they're better at. From the insights gained on this, I would say that Google's AI's greatest strength was its reliability and its polish, and it consistently delivered high quality results with the best user experience, especially on well-defined tasks. So if you want a great result on the first try, Google's AI is definitely the top choice. OpenAI's greatest strength here was its high ceiling for complex features. It can actually be the least reliable, as we saw when it came to the 2D shooter game, but it ended up having the most potential for creating complex apps when we got into the 3D physics sandbox. So it's not really a clear winner. You can kind of see how it's a little bit difficult to recommend one over the other all the time. And finally, Anthropic's one ended up being the wild card out of the bunch because it consistently struggled with design and user experience up until the final round. However, its execution of the mouse interaction for the final 3D sandbox game really showed that it can produce some really awesome results in a very specific area, even if its overall quality is a little bit inconsistent. Ultimately, your choice of AI will depend on your goal, but the real takeaway from this comparison, platforms like Lovable.dev allows you to not just choose one AI for your project, and instead you can actually swap between the different ones while you're working on a project, getting to leverage the best features of each for the task at hand. Another really cool thing is that it has built-in features like the AI chat and the Try to Fix button that really make it possible to create complex web apps, debug them, and get something that you're ultimately satisfied with. Things have come a long way when it comes to coding and creating web applications, to where nowadays there's really no excuse not to be able to go from idea to final result, especially when you have tools like Lovable.dev, which makes it so much easier, faster, and more capable at producing something that's actually satisfying. So anyways, let me know down in the comments down below what you think was the best AI. If you guys have made something super cool, link it down below. I'm for sure gonna love checking it out. And also a huge shout out to Lovable.dev for putting together this competition and giving everyone free access for the weekend, because if it wasn't thanks to you guys for allowing us to create so many different tests and try these different AIs out, this video would not even happen. Anyways, thanks for watching. I hope to catch you in the next one. Until next time, all right, peace.